Right. Now we got an article from the Hollywood Reporter that I actually want to read and give my thoughts on. So let's get into it. I'm scared, in quotation marks. I wonder who's scared. Why it's a brutal time to be a TV writer. The end of peak TV has ushered in an era of contraction with fewer buyers and fierce competition for the few shows that are staffing people are in total survival mode. We're gonna have hard to pronounce names, aren't we? Emily Chavers' career was just getting started. The 36-year-old began her TV writing career in 2020 as a writer's production assistant and script coordinator for Legends of Tomorrow. Never watched it. Before getting hired as a staff writer for ABC's The Company You Keep. Heard of it, but don't really care. After the drama that marked Milo, however you pronounce that, follow-up to This Is Us was cancelled following a single season shortly after the Writers Guild of America strike began last May. Shaver had no job to return to when it ended in September, like scores of other writers of all levels and backgrounds. She doesn't know when or where her next paycheck will come from. Well, maybe if you hadn't of striked when Hollywood was in the middle of financial crisis, multiple studios, I mean, there'd still be jobs for you. People are scared. I'm trying to go back to bartending. Oh, the horror, she says. A lot of people are wondering what other jobs they can do. I'm close with my old showrunners and they're supportive of me, but they're looking for jobs. Because what they made didn't help the studios. I guess, I don't know. Across the TV landscape, buying has cooled dramatically, and many writers now find themselves in situations like Shaver, with opportunities shrinking as the industry shifts from peak TV to an era of contraction and artistry. A wave of downsizing that kicked off last year when the priorities of Wall Street changed from a focus on subscriber growth to profitability, which is what it should have always been on, as streamers like Netflix and Max right sides their slates. I'm gonna guess that's HBO Max. The broadcast pipelines for Peacock, Hulu, and Paramount Plus are drying up. A decade ago, broadcasters collectively ordered as many as 98 pilots. Today, that number can be counted on one hand. Well, yeah, because streaming was only ever going to be profitable as long as there was only 2, 3 at the max streaming services. Like, if you just had HBO Max, Netflix, and maybe Hulu, like, that's all you would have needed. You didn't need to get Paramount Plus, Peacock, Disney Plus. Like, there's too many streaming services. There are so few shows that are still being greenlit, so few new pilots that are being ordered, and fewer spots in writers' rooms. Or how many people were working on these shows before the strike? You know, how many writers were there really? Says Shannon. I don't know why my computer's doing this today. Says Shannon Corbeil, a finalist for the Disney TV Writing Fellowship that was put on hold during the Writers Guild of America strike. You were a finalist for a TV writing for Disney Fellowship. I wonder why there are so few shows that are being greenlit because Disney had a TV writing fellowship thing. The staffing positions available are going to be more seasoned writers than the pilots that are being purchased or being bought from proven writers. Which is what they should have done. Why is it doing this? Okay, whatever. It's what they should have done from the start. Instead of, not hiring proven writers or purchasing from non-proven writers or whatever. Because that's what you needed to launch a streaming service. Was people that knew what they were doing and what they were writing was, Brandon K. Hines spent more than a decade working in support staff jobs as a script coordinator on Comedy Central's Awkwafina is Nora from Queens and Amazon's Harlem. He was staffed as a writer for the first time on Showtime's Fellow Travelers. Hines was homeless and had been bouncing between camping, couch surfing with friends, and the occasional Airbnb before he turned to driving for DoorDash and Grubhub after his 16-week writing job when the Showtime limited series concluded before the strikes began. What does this have to do with anything? A potential writing job on a Weeds revival he lined up before the strike evaporated during the work stoppage. Oh, did we really need to see all of this when you could have just said Brandon K. Hines had a potential writing job on a Weeds revival before it evaporated after the strike, or during the strike, as Showtime dropped plans for the series, sources say. You did not need to write all of that when you could have just made it like a couple sentences. You need multiple gigs a year to make a livable wage, Hines says. No, really? I thought only writing one script a year was going to be enough. It's the craziest time to be a working writer in Hollywood. You can work on a semi-hit show but still can't afford to make a living wage. It's pretty intense. Well, that's what happens when you're writing shows for a streaming service. It's not just the lack of pilots that it is affecting the challenging landscape that writers have found in the industry since the strike concluded in September. The overall volume of US-produced live-action scripted TV series tumbled 14% last year. Well, yeah, it's because the streaming services are losing money. And, the downturn started well before the Writers Guild of America strikes. You went on strike when Hollywood was starting to have bad results and was starting to lose money, and now you're wondering why Hollywood doesn't want to hire you. There was a certain amount of inefficiency that was just about a whole bunch of companies entering a space where they had no prior experience. And you can't blame anybody but inexperience for that. You can't blame anybody but inexperience for that. There is a certain amount of inefficiency from a whole bunch of companies entering a space where they had no prior experience, and you can't blame anybody but inexperience for that. You literally just blamed the companies for entering a space where they had no prior experience for why it's failing. And then in the not even next sentence, you're like, and you can't blame anybody but inexperience for that. You just blamed the companies. Len Graff says of the billions of dollars rival streamers spent on programming in a bid to compete with Netflix. You were never going to do it because Netflix was the original. Since then, television reporters have been transformed into show Grim Reapers, announcing waves of cancellations and unrenewals. So it's the reporters? Have been transformed in Grim Reapers, show Grim Reapers. Well, yeah, because they have to report on your failures. Series that were canceled after they originally been renewed by networks, including Uncoupled, Pitch Perfect, Bumper in Berlin. What the heck kind of name is that? And A League of Their Own. Okay, this is just common sense should have told these people that this was going to happen. The Entertainment Community Fund, which provides assistance in the form of funds, workshops, and trainings for those who work in the film and TV industries, has already distributed more than $3.25 million to 1,600 folks from January 1st through March 22nd. That's on top of the 18.8 million the ECF handed out in 2023 during the dual work stoppage. 3.25 million to 1,600 people. That's not actually a lot of money. Like, especially when you're doling out to 1,600 people. And 18.8 million for 8,500 people? That's not a good split right there. Keith McNutt, executive director of the ECF, says the group has received requests for financial assistance from writers of all experience levels and cultural backgrounds. You just had to put that in there, didn't you? The cultural backgrounds. You just had to put that in there. Since the strikes concluded, the ECF, he says, is dispersing between $200,000 to $300,000 a week. We're still doing 3 times the amount of assistance per week as before the pandemic, he says. Why? The WGA, which monitors employment levels around its members, declined to comment on this story other than to say the union required some time for a clear post-strike picture to occur. No, you didn't. You did not need time to know what was going to happen after your strike ended, because it's common sense that this was going to happen. You did not need time. It's erratic. The market has settled into something different with only 5 or 6 buyers left, says one veteran executive turned studio chief with a new TV landscape. It has been reshaped with fewer rooms and rooms that are smaller with fewer jobs. This was the outcome. This was always going to be the outcome of the strike. Though the WGA won some room size protections in its new minimum basic agreement, big writers' rooms with a dozen or more scribes, once commonplace, are increasingly hard to find. Big writers' rooms with a dozen or more scribes. Why do you even need more than 4 people working on a script? For anything. There are thousands of people going up for one job and only 6 slots per show on a good day. which is honestly how it should have been. Says one veteran lit agent who pointed to Watson adding 3 writers after it was picked up for 13 episodes. What the heck is Watson? Is that supposed to be a Sherlock spinoff? Because when I see Watson, the only thing I think of is Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. The CBS drama started development more than a year ago with a mini room that featured only 6 scribes. It doesn't feel like anyone gets a big writer's room unless you're in NCIS. Are you taking shots at NCIS now? Right now? Like, really? Why? The lack of the CW as a buyer for multiple season shows like Legends of Tomorrow and Superman. The CW lost all its money. It's never been profitable too. That's why it's no longer buying for big multi-season shows. It's also contributing to the downturn in available gig for writers since Nexstar took control of the CW from Warner Bros. Well, Warner Bros. Is in a mess all its own with the debt it's in, so yeah. Oh, and the relaunching of the DC Universe, because that was a brilliant investment when you're in debt. The network has canceled more than a dozen scripted originals. Good. And is no longer buying scripts from the traditional studio system the way it did under former CW CEO Mark. What is with this last name? These last names in this article. That has left hundreds of writers out of work, as the CW previously served as a way for new scribes to learn the ropes. Oh my god. How long is this going? Oh my god. Did you really need to devote this much time and this many words to an article that's... All it needed to say was the writer's strike was a stupid idea, and this is the result. Look, this is like... Oh, how many Microsoft Word pages is this? Like, seriously. Yeah, You want to read the whole article? Just, yeah, you can, but I've read enough to give final thoughts, more than enough, and I can say what I've been saying throughout the entire video so far, this entire recording. The strike was a stupid idea, and this was always going to be the outcome. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.